everybody. This is Leaf Talk, a different version of Leaf Talk. This is Leaf Talk. We talk about everything Maple Leaf. And, of course, as it said in the opening, every athlete, every team, if it has anything to do with Canada, we care and we talk about it. What a perfect time. I'm going to jump to the lead story. Got to be the lead story. There's no other story that beats this one. Once again, a Canadian woman reaches championship heights here at home, Aaron.
Yeah, this was an incredible one. Let's be honest here. Entering the tournament ranked below 300 as a wild card entry. Victoria Mboko from Burlington, Ontario, came back to beat a four-time Grand Slam champion, 2-6, 6-4, 6-1 in the final of the Canadian Open on Thursday, earning the first WA title of her career in front of a home crowd in Montreal. So Naomi Osaka unfortunately couldn't pull it out, but in that tournament alone, Victoria beat Naomi Osaka, Coco Gauff, the world number 2, Elena Rybakina, and Sofia Kenin over the course of the tournament. She also became the second youngest player to ever defeat 4 Grand Slam champions in a single tournament. The youngest ever was Serena Williams. So this is incredible. Now, had Naomi Osaka won, it would have been her first WA title since the 2021 Australian Open, which is a span of 1,629 days. But she'll have to wait once more to get back to the top. Now, she did take a significant amount of time off to recover from injuries and give birth to her first child. But Mboko was only 12 years old when Osaka won her first Grand Slam title in 2018 at the U.S. Open. So this was an incredible feat. The third set was just mind-blowing. Commanding presence at the net, fantastic drop shots, a wonderful serve, rallies that seemed to go for days. I don't know if you caught too much of it, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I heard the racket, the excitement.
Yeah, funnily enough, actually, they gifted her with a Montreal Canadiens jersey.
Wow.
And of that,
stomp on it.
No, she accepted it because you can't stomp on it in front of the Montreal crowd. That's just mean.
Okay, so she's not a Leaf fan. We've established that.
Well, she's at least polite to the host city. Put it that way.
Well, she was born in the U.S.
Yeah.
She's born in America, but still decided to play or to compete as a Canadian, which is good for us. Mind you, though, most of her training was here in Canada, and a lot of the, I don't think it's a coincidence or small potatoes that she won it in Montreal. Quebec has done a great job producing, tennis players, especially the ladies, a lot of them. So, congratulations to her. Amazing, 18 years old, or should I say 18 years young.
And now, with that win, that vaults her ahead of Naomi Osaka and ahead of Leylah Fernandez, another Canadian. Leylah's in 26th. Naomi is in 25th. And Victoria now finds herself in 24th place in the World Tennis Rankings. This is actually the first time a Canadian woman has won a major event since Bianca Andreescu won the U.S. Open back in 2019. So that's a very significant, not to be overlooked accomplishment for sure.
Absolutely. Our Canadian women tennis players are awesome. They're champs. And that's the whole purpose of this show, to brag about the champs that we have here that wear red and white, the Maple Leaf. Not Canadian, but they play in a Canadian city, Toronto. The Blue Jays, they won a close one. They won 3 close ones.
Yeah, I was a little concerned heading into this series against Colorado, with Colorado being 50-plus games under 500. But as it currently stands, Over the course of 3 games, the Blue Jays managed to outscore their opposition 45-6. They had a total of 63 hits allowed in 3 games. This is a record, that has stood since if,
1900.
if memory serves. I was going to say 1900, and the last time somebody got spanked this badly previous to that was 1933. So the Jays closed out the series with a 20-0 drubbing.
20-1.
20-1. Sorry. Yes. But the Austin Nola was the pitcher, and after that game, during the 9th inning when they scored 8 runs, unfortunately for Austin Nola, his ERA ballooned to 72 thanks to the 8 runs that he allowed in the 9th inning. So that's that was a bit of a butt kicking. That park is very, very hitter friendly. I will give it that much. If you can play small ball and you can get the ball into play, chances are very good that you'll be able to bring the runner home. So,
Jays lose a catcher to the Red Sox on waivers.
Yeah, Ali Sanchez got picked up as a waiver claim. Now, Ali had played, I believe, 8 or 9 games with the Jays this season, filling in for Alejandro Kirk and Tyler Heineman while they were out rehabbing injuries. He has a 238, 238, 333 slash line and was designated for assignment on Tuesday when both Kirk and Heineman were re-cleared for action. Now he's going to head to the Red Sox, who trail the Jays by 4 games in the AL East. Yeah, Sanchez had also appeared in 54 games for the Buffalo Bison this year, batting .279 with 6 home runs and 28 ribbies. His 46 career MLB games include stints with the New York Mets back in 2020, the Cardinals in 21, the Miami Marlins in 24, and the Blue Jays this year.
And now the Red Sox.
So he's getting around.
And the tour continues. Jay Springer, not in the Bison's lineup. What's up there, Aaron?
Well, so as fans are aware, George was sent down to rehab from a concussion that he suffered last month. But on Wednesday, he wasn't in there. Now, he sustained the injury on July 29th against the Orioles after being hit in the helmet by a fastball from Caden Stroud and was then retroactively placed on the 7-day injured list. He currently leads the Blue Jays with 18 home runs, 12 stolen bases, and 8.89 OPS. When asked about his absence from the lineup, John Schneider said he's going to go through everything. I think there still needs to be some tests done to see if he can get cleared. So they're holding him out again as a precautionary measure. Andre Jimenez is also down there. He's also continuing his rehab assignment with the Buffalo Bison. So while George has been down there, Dalton Varsho's return has been absolutely spectacular. So the offense that they were losing by not having Springer in the lineup hasn't been offset by Dalton Varsho's absolute fire wagon return.
Absolutely. Good work for them.
Yeah.
MLS, Toronto FC spent $8 million to bring in Yordi. At least it's been claimed, Yordi Mihailovic from the Colorado Rapids for an $8 million fee.
Yeah, apparently Mihailovic reportedly asked to leave the Rapids after only a year and a half with the team. Now, we say reportedly because it hasn't necessarily been confirmed yet, even though I've seen 3 or 4 news agents reporting on it.
Yeah.
So the Rapids are going to receive a club record fee in return for trading their star player, getting $8 million in the deal, plus $1 million in add-ons. There's also reportedly a sell-on clause that could result in additional money for Colorado. Now, apparently the Rapids rejected multiple offers on Mihailovic this summer, but things changed when he asked the team to leave. He'd been the face of the franchise since he joined in 24. At that time, Colorado had paid $3 million to acquire him from the Netherlands squad Alkmaar Zaanstreek, and in the year and a half since, his value has gone up. He's only 26, so he's still got a decent career in front of him. He had 11 goals and 10 assists last season and is on pace for a career bests this year. With the season just over halfway done, he's got 9 goals and 6 assists, which means he's tracking to be ahead of pace from last year. He had 3 of those assists in a single game back on July 12th when they beat Vancouver 3-0.
What position does he play, Aaron?
I'm sorry?
What position do they have him playing?
I'm interested to find that out. You know what? Honestly, they didn't say. I believe he's listed as an attacking midfielder. So,
okay.
So that'll be an interesting move for Toronto. I'm curious as to how he's going to slot into the lineup and how he'll do there, and how quickly he'll be effective, because that's definitely something that we want to try to take advantage of. With where Toronto currently sits on the table, this is definitely something that they need to address.
Yeah, this is not necessarily a striker, but it sounds like he's a striker. But anyway,
he's offensively minded. We'll give him that.
The point is that Toronto FC got rid of the 2 Italians who were centerpieces for their offense, and they're gone. They didn't work out the way they'd hoped, so they got rid of them, and now they've got to replace that. This is like, for you hockey fans, this is like replacing Marner, kinda, sorta. If Marner wasn't successful and wasn't in the top 10 in scoring. So let's talk about the Ottawa Charge, the PWHL. Emily Clark, record-setting contract?
Yeah, forward Emily Clark actually set a PWHL record in becoming the league's highest payer based on a single season salary and signing a 2-year contract extension on Thursday. The team has announced the signing that secures her through the 2027-28 season, but not the value of the contract. Now, 2 people with knowledge of the league's payroll structure confirmed to the AP that Clark's 6-figure salary next season broke the record in restructuring the 3rd and final year of her existing contract. The individuals who broke this spoke on the condition of anonymity because the league and the PWHL Players Association don't make salaries public currently. Now, while the PWHL's collective bargaining agreement features a minimum salary of $35,000, there is no maximum under what will be technically the league's $1.3 million salary cap this season. The only requirement is that at least 6 players per team make at least $80,000 per season. For context, one of the people said Clark will be among 9 players making $100,000 or more, with the PWHL expanding from 6 to 8 teams next season. Clark herself declined to reveal the value of her contract by saying she preferred placing the focus on the growth of the game rather than on herself. So, she's a very humble young lady, and the fact that she's chosen not to disclose her salary, I think, speaks to that.
Absolutely. Canadian Football League, Lions beat Ticats in overtime after a back-and-forth game that led to overtime and a victory for the Hungry Lions.
Yeah, this unfortunately turned out to be the end of the Ticats winning streak. Now, the Lions did manage to win their 4th game of the season at the expense of the Ticats streak. This was also the same night that the Hamilton Tiger Cats honored Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. So that was something. Bo Levi Mitchell threw for 305 yards and 3 touchdowns to receiver Shamar Bridges. Keandre Smith and Giovanni Robinson. Isaiah Wooden adding a punt return touchdown in the first half, his 3rd of the year. This is only the 3rd game that Hamilton's lost, but I think the issue that they ran into was they got blanked in the second quarter, 7-0. They did manage to come back a little bit in the 3rd quarter, outscoring BC 21-15, but at the end of the day, it wasn't enough, and they fell 41-38.
That mumble you hear in the background are Argo fans saying they're not so disappointed that Hamilton lost.
No, definitely not.
I can still hear them.
This makes things a little bit more interesting.
It's always going to be more interesting. As far as I'm concerned, the Lions have been on the brink of playing real well. Their quarterback has not returned to the same kind of enviable style of play and ability that he had the first year. The end of last year, he's he's continued where he started at the end of last year, but he's improving steadily. The poison that was the experience in the NFL for Rourke is taking a while to shed. I think that experience really undermined his confidence. And I think it's coming back slowly. But here's the key. Bo Levi Mitchell has been fantastic. He's my MVP, hands down. Going to this point in the season, there's no one that's played better. And because we hold more creed on quarterbacks when it comes to that kind of stuff, credence, whatever, he has done a great job. He threw 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Rourke threw, I think, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. The point being that it's not the offense or not the offense led by the Ticats quarterback, Bo Levi Mitchell, that let the team down. It's the rest of the team. Bo Levi's been amazing. And you know what? Winning 6 straight, it fires up the opponents every week. And it also, there's a little bit of a, maybe laissez-faire kind of play, because winning gets to be so easy and expected that maybe that little bit of concentration that isn't happening. I think Hamilton took their foot off the gas, and it cost them in this game. We'll see what happens now. The real key for Hamilton is, will they bounce back for a victory and not end up in a mini slump or even a larger one? I doubt it. Bo Levi's playing too well.
No, sorry, go ahead, Frank.
No, you go.
I was going to say, this definitely wasn't Bo Levi's fault. He leads the league in passing yards with 2,856. He leads the league in passing TDs with 21. Despite his experience last year, Nathan Rourke is no slouch either. He's third when it comes to passing yards with 2,304, behind much beleaguered Argonauts quarterback Nick Arbuckle, who has 2,334.
Who hasn't gotten the credit for being that good because his team has let him down consistently. I think Arbuckle has improved each and every game. Maybe not a lot, but incrementally, a little bit at a time. He's gotten better and better. And the games, especially the recent games, they are not on the quarterback. They are on special teams, defense, and the running game, which I don't know if you can blame that on the quarterback. I don't know. Can you blame that on the quarterback?
He does hand the ball off,
I guess.
If you're really looking.
And this week they traded for a running back.
Yeah.
They brought in another running back. So I think we can see that the Argos are aware of their problem, which is they need some quarterbacking. Yes, but they need more. They need a running game. I know Kelly, we had this conversation, had a conversation with David, a Sportsnet that does CFL talk with us. And it really is to the point where, looking back, the Argos made a big mistake in not more or less hoping publicly that Kelly would start soon, and he didn't. They would have been better off to make him, 6 games, be quiet, let's not talk about this, instead of every game, when's Kelly coming back? When's Kelly coming back? And it was a distraction, and it still is. But now they've got him on the 6th game. So now the conversation is going to be, what is their number one quarterback, their starting quarterback, because that's who Arbuckle is now. With the 6 games that Kelly now has been put on, put him in the back burner, and now put Arbuckle in the front burner. And the rest of the team has to understand that this is the lineup. And tomorrow we'll be at the game, Aaron, and we'll see what happens. The Ottawa Red Blacks have played really well the past couple of weeks. The Argos have played well and bad the last couple of weeks. Not alternately in games, alternately within a game. And unfortunately, not enough to win. Let's go to the National Hockey League. And, of course, Keith Tkachuk, daddy of the 2 Tkachuk boys, is saying, don't worry, Brady's staying in Ottawa.
He makes a lot of noise. Keith makes a lot of noise about these sorts of things. Trash talking the Leafs and then maligning the Panthers at the same time to get them more fired up. Here, the thing is, Tkachuk's entering year 5 of a 7-year deal that pays him $8.2 million per season. We know the salary cap is going up. We know he's their captain. At this point in time, that deal is a steal. 3 years ago, his older brother Matthew forced Calgary to trade him after he let the Flames know he wasn't planning on re-signing there. So this past season, not surprisingly, with 2 years left, the Brady rumors started. The New York Post had reported in December that the Rangers had made Brady one of their primary trade targets. Now, the Senators, of course, vehemently denied it. And when Michael Andlauer arrived at the NHL Board of Governors meeting in Florida, he's described it as a soft sort of tampering. Andlauer also said that Brady and his wife Emma had just had a child and didn't need something like this in their lives. Now, the Rangers denied the soft tampering and described the accusation as irresponsible, and this is where everything sort of started to get rolling. I can only imagine that Keith putting his oar in like this is sort of a way of trying to pour a little oil on top of the waves to try to get everything to settle out. But, he's saying, I'm not going to believe everything you hear. After what happened with Matthew in Calgary, everyone just sort of assumes that's going to happen with Brady, but Brady loves it there. He cemented himself in the community, and they're a team on the rise. They got a great bunch of young players. I'm inclined to agree with Keith, just based on the fact that they made the playoffs for the first time in God knows how many years and actually made a decent showing of it. With the signings that they made over the course of this past offseason, it looks even better that they're likely to continue.
Well, like you said, history could repeat itself. You never know. Well, good. I'm glad if he does stay. I mean, the Canadian teams are negotiating with players in the National Hockey League with one hand tied behind their back. It's just ludicrous how hard it is to put together a winning team in Canada. 1 month ago, what the Calgary Flames need to address this offseason, Aaron, what is it?
So as it currently stands, in 1 month, the Flames are going to be holding their annual Celebrity Charity Golf Classic. This usually coincides with the fact that there's about a month left to go until the season actually starts. With that in mind, they're currently looking at the Rasmus Andersson situation. It doesn't seem likely that Craig Conroy is going to find a deal to trade Rasmus Andersson this summer. We knew there were offers around June for him, and it had been reported that Andersson told teams that he's only willing to sign an extension with the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, a trade with Vegas doesn't make sense right now. They just don't have the prospects to make it worthwhile from the Flames' perspective.
Space.
So, there's that too, which means that Andersson will almost likely be starting in Calgary. Fortunately, Conroy has publicly expressed that he has no concerns about his attitude affecting the team if that's how it plays out. The other thing they have to look at is the Connor Zary extension. Zary revealed himself to be a very major part of the team and a key factor in their rebuild going forward. He's the only remaining unsigned restricted free agent left for the Flames to get to commit pen to paper this summer. Now, there's a certain amount of internal confidence about getting this extension done, but Conroy admitted last week the process has been slow. They want to sign Zary to a short-term bridge deal, while the 23-year-old wants a little bit more of a commitment. There's no reason to believe they won't be able to find common ground eventually. It's just a question of when. Now, nobody wants to see this drag out until the final hours or days before training camp. You don't want to end up with a situation like you had with Nylander sitting out the first half of the season and getting a deal done in December. That's not ideal for Calgary, and it's not going to help them with their build. The third thing that they need to look out for is Dustin Wolf's future. Now, this isn't actually all that urgent because Dustin Wolf doesn't become an RFA until next summer, so that's a chunk down the road. But the Flames won't want to risk another team putting an offer sheet in front of their goalie next July. So getting him signed to a long-term extension is going to end up being a priority. So,
well, it is what it is. Again, this is I don't understand why the league doesn't fine Andersson. I don't think players should be saying, I want to sign with this team. I mean, it's just, if he was playing for a different, can you imagine him being a Ranger and saying, well, I want to sign with Vegas right in Bettman's backyard? I think Bettman's attitude would change because New York fans would just go through the roof that would happen. And never mind New York management. I haven't even mentioned New York management. That would be something that would be, tampering, that's tampering. Just because the player's doing it, doesn't mean it's not tampering. Because what you're doing, you're making it public. You can't do that.
And there's no language in the CBA to sort of work around that, right? Like this is all the way that it's being done and the way that the CBA has written. Tampering only applies to the owners. It doesn't apply to the players. So this is kind of like this feels reminiscent of a lot of NBA players calling their shots and saying which team they want to go to.
What I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And what you get, what you end up getting is you end up getting too many players want to go to one team, and then you end up with the competitive balance imbalanced. And the good news for the NHL is they don't care what happens in Canada, and Canada doesn't have the strength to say anything to get equal treatment. We saw what happened with the CBA. We saw that teams that have, like, states that don't have tax, we see that the league has basically made rules that make that even stronger than it was before they signed a contract. And we know that doesn't work for teams in Canada, and it doesn't work for some of the teams in the US as well. And I'm disappointed in places like New York and LA and the other places that are they going to put up with being also Rens for a few more years? Is that what they're looking forward to? Are they trying to sell that they can win when they can't? Are fans in New York and LA, Toronto, just like Toronto and the rest of the Canadian cities and cities that don't have, who do have state tax, do those fans, are they ignorant to the fact that if someone offers someone more money, they might take that job over one that pays a little bit less? I mean, who doesn't know that that's a reality, that there are people in the employment world who will work for someone who pays them more money?
And realistically, this is the time of all times for them to leverage Canadian teams in particular to leverage the heck out of retirement compensation agreements.
Well, they got to find a way, and Canadian teams, they should put their heads together, all 7 of them. They should say, hey, what can we do to help ourselves have a shot at winning a cup? Because we're all losers here. None of us have won since 93. As bad as the Leafs have been since 67, as a group of 7, that's a lot more than 50 years that they've not won since 93. So, I'm a Canadian, and I'm a proud Canadian, and we're doing a show here about Canadian sports. And right now, Canadian NHL teams are not getting a fair shake. With all this stuff that's gone on over the years about players who are injured, and their salaries are taken off the cap. All the times it's happened, the first time a Canadian team smells of doing it, the league dumps on that Canadian team, not on the American teams, not a single time. So let's be clear. Hockey's our game, and they're taking advantage of that because we'll watch stuff that ain't so exciting for a long time. Whereas teams like if Florida sucked, the fans would stop going. I want to make that clear. The reason they're supported is because they're a winner.
No, and that's really what it boils down to. Is at the end of the day, you have the competitive balance being shifted towards teams in the States based on the actions of Krishna, and it's not.
They are. There's boxes that it's not a question of only state tax is an issue. There are multiple boxes that work against the Canadian teams. Multiple boxes. They pay more tax. There's more pressure in the Canadian cities. Those 2 things eliminate a lot of players who want to work for a living, want to win a cup, but it's hard to do in Canada. So, that's another thing. No Canadian team has won since 93. The taxes are higher. The pressure is higher. Why would you want to play for a Canadian team if you want to win a cup? Why? And make as much money as you can. Yep, there's a lot of boxes that are unchecked when it comes to the Canadian teams. And this story here, I have to tell you, Nicholas Roy, whatever way you want to pronounce it, is talking about hoping to fit in and replace Marner. That tongue is planted firmly in his cheek. Please don't tell me he's serious, Aaron.
No, you know what? I think he's trying to pump his own tires a little bit here. But he was speaking with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill on the Leafs Morning Take, and said he'd already spoken with Berube about expectations for his role. During his time with the Golden Knights, Roy often stepped into a top six spot when the team dealt with injuries or needed replacements. So, in this conversation that he had with Alberga and Rosehill, he said, I definitely see myself as someone who can play in the top six if needed and in different roles. I can handle various situations, power play, penalty kills, big face-offs. I enjoy that part of the game. But I think he's being a little tongue-in-cheek when he does actually suggest
Has
that.
to be. You don't get less than 40 points in the season and talk about replacing a guy who got 102.
You got to have a little bit of braggadociousness about it.
But here's the one point that was made in my foraging through news when it comes to Leafs and stuff. The one statement they did make is and that it holds some truth. If Trey Living successfully altered not just the DNA, but the makeup of the team, the scoring makeup, where there isn't the top four guys get 90% of the points. If there's more of a drop off, a reasonable drop off, not off a cliff when it comes to points, right? But a reasonable drop off. If you have your guys that get their 80, 90 points, but then you have a couple of guys that get 60, 65, between two or three of them that do that kind of accomplish that, you can make up for the 102 points that Marner got instead of doing it through one guy, doing it through three different guys. But also the DNA part, which has always been my problem with the Leafs and the way they were made up, they have to be harder to score against. They have to be harder to play against. They have to win games that are 2-1. They can't lose 9-2. They can't get into 7-6 battles, because when they do that, they're proving they don't know how to defend. And if you don't know how to defend, Aaron, you're not going to win the Stanley Cup.
No, the last thing that the Leafs need to get themselves involved with in any game is a track meet, because they don't have the horses for it. I'm mixing all of my sports metaphors here, but that is a dog that just won't hunt for them. It's not a realistic possibility.
Absolutely. Former Maple Leaf, two-time Stanley Cup champ, news?
Yeah. So for those of you who watched him demolish a couple goalies, in particular against Carolina, Kyle Clifford, he's the worst kept secret in the Toronto Maple Leafs player development department, but it's now official. He has actually announced his retirement. He was a two-time Stanley Cup winner with the Los Angeles Kings. But he's retiring to be added to assistant general manager Haley Wickenheiser's office. He says he's very excited about it. He played 41 games for Toronto in two stints after a 2020 trade, and leaves the NHL with more than 800 regular season and playoff appearances with LA, Toronto, and St. Louis. With his 160 points came an awesome and eye-watering 982 career penalty minutes as one of the league's most diligent energy forwards. He's a former Barrie Colt who was a 35th overall pick in the 2009 draft by the Kings. He was acquired for Trevor Moore and draft picks to join former King and Cup champion Jake Muzzin in Toronto. He spent a lot of time working with the Marlies. It's been great to see him play down there. You can see the leadership that he brings to the team from the bench. He began a mentoring role with the Marlies as an alternate captain and played a total of 126 AHL games. But unfortunately only played 17 games last season due to injuries and a shift in his responsibilities with the team.
Happy Gilmore too.
This was a nice little tribute. As everybody knows, Adam Sandler, big hockey fan. I think he managed to slip in a tribute to Johnny Gaudreau. He's a Boston Bruins fanatic. He's included a whole bunch of hockey references. Of course, none as prominently as in the original Happy Gilmore. But in the movie, Sandler's character plays golf while wearing an Ice House hockey jersey with Gaudreau's number 13 on it. Those scenes were filmed in New Jersey, Gaudreau's home state. So as a way to pay tribute to the late player and his brother, not only did he wear that, but Sean Avery and Chris Chelios also played henchmen in the movie. So it's one of those things where the love for them is very apparent. And I thought it was a sweet gesture on his part.
Absolutely. So the Toronto Raptors, former player Pascal Siakam. I'm going to tell you a little story here. We got a little time.
Sure.
Standing in a KFC line in Grenada, and he pays for everybody's order that's standing in line. And he says KFC in Grenada is a little different. Caribbean KFC is a little. I can see that being different. I'd love to see what it tastes like, to be honest with you, because that's KFC meets jerk chicken, right? Something like that. Would it be? Am I overreaching?
It's possible. Certainly there are regional variations, obviously, for every single restaurant. It wouldn't surprise me if they had a variation on breaded jerk chicken there. But all in all, it's a fantastic gesture, and it's it's one of those little human touches that I think Pascal kind of got known for while playing in Toronto, especially during the championship run, and even after that when playing with the Pacers. So
absolutely. On another one, Grady Dick went back home. I'm looking here. He went back home. He returned to Wichita, and he did some really good things back home to say, thank you for raising me. Thank you for making me a basketball player and helping me to become a pro. So good for him. Just two stories about athletes giving back, because we tend to sometimes only talk about the negative stuff that goes on. And when it comes to basketball players, I think they, more than any other athlete, there's a negative connotation, towards them for whatever reason. I'm not going to guess. I'm just going to say it's an observation that I've made. Aaron, one more time, Toronto Argonauts being visited by the Ottawa Redblacks tomorrow. I'm going to ask you, what will the game look like for Toronto to win? Because I know that's what you're pulling for. So what do you want to see Toronto do that'll lead to a win?
Well, they need to be a little more consistent on the defensive line. That is one thing for sure. They can't allow pick sixes. They can't allow interceptions. Arbuckle has been improving game over game.
And no kick returns.
And no, the kick return. Snatching defeat from the jaws of victory by allowing a kick returner to just waltz through the entire squad is just not on.
Last minute of play.
Oh. You know what? Honestly, I've seen stuff like that happen before, and it still surprises me when it does, because it's like, he's right there. Why don't you tackle him?
Absolutely.
How about you, Frank? What are you looking for out of the Argonauts?
What I'm looking for is Arbuckle to make another small step in improvement, to do his part for the team to win. I interrupted you. I apologize, but I want to see special teams be on the plus side of that equation instead of the negative side. For them to win, special teams has to win the special team battle. Whatever that looks like, they have to win that battle. The defense has to be consistent. The defense has to play more like we're accustomed to them playing. The offensive line has to help Arbuckle and the running back, whoever he is. The running game for Toronto needs to improve. Otherwise, the passing game becomes a desperate feature for Arbuckle. And he can throw a lot of yards, but it ain't going to get you in the end zone. And the last thing, I'm dying to see, I just want to see just once, second and short, when the Argos do the thing where they try to get the other team to go offside. I'd like to see them just once do a trick play. Just basically make a play that'll, for the next time they do that, teams will take them seriously. Because I don't think any other team, they've never seen the Argos make a play when they're doing that. They telegraph the fact that we're trying to draw you offside, okay? We're trying to draw you offside. They've got to do something to raise doubt in the opposition. They haven't done that yet. They haven't done it in the past few years. Whenever they do it, it's just basically, okay, we're going to take a 5-yard penalty, then we're going to kick the ball. I just would like to see and I know Dinwiddie has it in him. He's done some things to try and surprise people, right? But this is one area I'd like to see him surprise the opposition. A quick screen pass or something for first down.
At the end of the day, I think that's something that everybody would like to see, is just a little bit of more fun when it comes to the Argonauts, because they've been having a miserable season. And let's be honest, if you had a flea flicker, or if you had a reverse shovel, or if you had just a hidden ball trick or anything like that, it might make the game a little more interesting. And you never know, you might get the yards.
And if you haven't been to an Argo game, go an hour or two early and go to the tailgate. Tailgate's a lot of fun. Bring yourself a little meat, little something to cook up on the barbecue. I'm sure you'll find somebody willing to use some of their barbecue space for you to cook something up. Bring yourself a drink of your choice and enjoy the pregame. One thing that's Argo fans do a really good job of that. When you look at the rest of the Eastern teams, I know there's Western teams that outdo the Argos. I get that, and Hamilton outdoes Toronto, but it is a lot of fun. Going to the tailgate's a lot of fun. I recommend it. Going to the game, part of it should be tailgating. Enjoy the game tomorrow, Aaron. And to those of you who are watching and going to the Argo game, enjoy the game. If you're watching it on TV or there in person, if you're at the tailgate, I might see you there. I may not. We'll see how long it takes for me to get to Toronto. Have a great day, Aaron. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, Frank. Appreciate it.
He's Aaron William Freeland. I'm Candid Frank Stanisci. You can follow me on Candid Frank 10:30 on YouTube. And we'll see you next week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks for watching.